So this was a request, and I've set up a reference image here of this machine gun, and you can download it for free. It's on the zerobio Patreon. You don't have to be a paid member, just a free member, and I'll link you to it in the description. I brought it in and I pressed S5, I believe, to scale it 5 times, bringing it back a little bit on the, let's see, I guess on the Z axis or whatever. That's weird. Let me switch this back. There we go. On the Y axis. And I've just got my cursor right there. And we'll do part of the gun and we'll finish it up in part 2. So with my 3D cursor there, I'm going to bring in a circle and I'm going to leave it at the default of 32. Let's make sure that's 32. Go into edit mode, 1 for vertex selection, and rotate 90 and scale it down. Alright, so I've already set it up so that it sort of matches the diagram. Alright, so E to extrude, pull out to here. Let's switch over to wireframe. And it's not going to match the reference perfectly. E and S, as always, or be a perfect replica of the gun. E. And I'm going to pull out somewhat into this. In fact, I want to pull out to around there because I'm going to have this piece. We'll probably have to do some adjusting later on. But that's what I've got there. Let's just focus on that. Okay, now this thing, I'm going to have to make a face. And that end piece is going to have that circle there. So let's just do something for that right now. Press the period key to focus on it. So I'm going to press I to inset, come in. I'm just going to do this by eye. All right, and I'm going to press I to inset again. Come to about there. And then I'll go ahead and I'll extrude that out. And in fact, that's too far. What am I thinking? Something like that. And I'll press 3 for face selection, Shift Alt and click there. I'm just going to extrude that in. That gives me this extra edge, which you really don't need. Shift Alt and click X, dissolve edges. And here I am talking about not needing edges, but we're going to be using subdivisions and stuff, so it'll be heavy enough. All right, so select that face and Control B, and I'm going to put a total of 3 edges in there. And Shift Alt and click there, Control B to bevel that. And I'm going to bevel this bottom one as well. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to bevel that. And I'm just going to go around and do that. I'll grab those 2 and do that. And then I think I'll take this edge and E and S and just come in a little ways. And I'm not sure, do I need to bevel that? Yeah, because that's on the, I'm going to come in a little bit more, because that's this piece and it's going to join with that piece, so we're going to bevel that. And let's just take the whole thing and Alt N, recalculate outside in case it was flipped, and we'll shade smooth, and this is what we have, and that looks all right, I guess. Okay, so let's do this piece here. So to do that, what I want is I want to select an edge, just anything going around like that. Shift D to duplicate. I'm just going to pull it out in front. P to break it out. So I got that. Not that. That. Press 1 to look from the side, I guess. Front. It's really front orthographic, but side of the gun. Okay, so yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'll bring it back to about there and press 1. And I'm going to press S to scale to make it a bit bigger. And then I'm going to press E to extrude. And I'm going to pull out to here. I'm going to go into wireframe, deselect, and select all these, E to extrude, and pull out to there to create that thing there. So this is what we have. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is Alt N, recalculate outside. And I'm just going to press 3 for face selection. I just like it better for this. And now I'm going to give this some thickness. You can use solidify. I'm just going to press E and Alt S and pull until it sort of starts hugging this circle here, and you get a little bit of thickness, and that should go into there, so that's good. Now I'm going to flip it again though. Okay, so now it's time to do some beveling. This is a little bit messy. It's not beautiful work, but it's going to be fine. I'm going to select those edges and hold Shift and select those edges. And I'm going to bevel. We'll get some stuff here, but hopefully it'll be okay. Control B, and I'm going to pull. I hold Shift if you want to go a bit slower. That's a total of 3 edges. I'm going to roll up till I have a total of 5. It'll be smoother. You'll see this thing here, but hopefully that won't show. So let's go in now and select the edges, and it's a little hard because it doesn't want to select them all. So I'm going to select there, press Control and click there, press Control and click there, and sort of just leading it on to go all the way around. Control on there. So we got the whole outer one. Hold Shift and select there and Control and just come around. You know, you can go further than this troubled area. Up to there, Control up to there. So I got the whole thing. Now I'm going to bevel. I just don't want this edge as I bevel it to collide with anything else. So Control B, hold Shift and pull, and I just need 3 edges as far as I know. So do that. Shade smooth, and there's a little bit more we actually have to do. Select that edge and Control B to bevel with 3 as well. And I don't think we're going to be able to do anything else to help the shading. I might actually just bevel that. I know it's not seen, but you know, whatever. And to this I will probably add a normals, weighted normal. And we have this. Okay, is it lining up? Pretty much lining up. Okay, so now my 3D cursor is still central, so I think I can go ahead and I'll work on this thing here. So let's just bring in a plane, and I'm going to rotate not 80. I'm going to rotate 90, R90, scale it down. I'm just going to press G and keep scaling until I sort of get, maybe I'll stand it there right in the middle. 1 for vertex selection, and go into wireframe and select there and just pull it down. So I should have a plane there. Yeah, okay. And now I just sort of have to do this by eye. So I'm just going to do whatever. I'm just going to take this edge and just push it down in. Take this edge and S to scale. And take the whole thing, maybe I'll scale it in the Y a little bit. And just create something that you think would look okay. All right, now I'm going to select these vertices here and bevel them, but I have to use Shift Control B. Shift Control B, I'm going to start pulling. I want it to be rounded, but as they go around, if I do this, you see they cross. So I'm going to press C for clamping, and when they hit, they'll stop, kind of like the clipping in the mirror. Now I'm going to roll my mouse up until I get a nice smooth curve like that. And to be honest with you, I kind of want it in a little bit more like that. So I'm going to do that again. Shift Control B, pull. That clamping should already be on, and now I have this. Possible I want it a little bit narrower, so I just went in. I'm going to scale in the Y. Just that. All right, enough fooling around. Okay, so I'm actually going to pull it to here, and then press E to extrude. Pull it to about there. And it's not critical to be exact. And this one we have Alt-A, or whatever, Alt-N, recalculate outside. And let's look from the back, which is Control-3. And go in the wireframe and just grab that and just pull it up a little bit. And then X faces, get rid of those faces. I don't need. Okay. So that's good. I just feel it's a little bit thick, so I'm going to scale it in the X a little bit. Let's bevel by pressing 3 for face selection and selecting both of those faces. Control B and pull. We have a problem. That didn't work. That's because these are not merged. So select it all. Because I used the clamp, you have to merge after. Merge by distance. See, it got rid of some. And sometimes I forget, but Blender will remind you if it doesn't work well. There's always a reason. I'm just going to go for 3, like that. I can shade smooth now, but we're going to do something, slash key, Shift S, cursor to selected. I'm going to bring in a cylinder. I'm not going to be reducing the vertices, all right? You can do that. I'm not worried about the polys. You can try to be more conservative if you want, but I'm just not going to worry about it now. So many other things in life to worry about. I'm just going to position that where I like it, and that's probably fine. So we're going to use a Boolean. Select this and generate a Boolean. Leave it on difference with the eyedropper. Select that. Apply and delete that. Now let's bevel this. It's not overly pretty, but it should work out fine. Shift Alt and click, Shift Alt and click, Shift Alt and click, Shift Alt and click. So we got it all. If any of these are selected, make sure they're deselected. Control B to bevel with 3. Do that. and it looks a little messed up. Let's shade smooth and add a normals, weighted normal. That hole looks a bit big to me. It's a small thing, but if you had to change it, you could press 3 for face selection, Shift Alt and click on one of these edges, but then you want to get to the edge of your bevel, so Control plus and Control plus, and then scale but not in the X. Scale Shift X, and you can just make it smaller if you needed to. Okay, so far so good. Now, in this diagram, there's a little rectangle underneath this, but I'm not going to bother putting that on at this point. Okay, it's time to start working on this, and to do that, I'm going to take one of these circles, just Shift Alt and click that, Shift D, pull it out, P to break it out, and let's have a look at where we're at. Okay, it's not quite the right size, so I'm going to S to scale to about there, and I'm going to push it underneath there. I'm going to press E to extrude and pull it out until it goes under this thing. So that's where it would be. I can go ahead and shade smooth. There's no ends on this, so that's fine. It might be flipped. Let's have a look. No, everybody's looking good. Okay. Now, this part is going to require a subdivision surface. There are different ways to do this, but I think an easy way is to do the following. So I'm going to, in edit mode, I'm going to Control R, drop an edge loop, and bring it to pretty much where the end of this curve is going to be. And I'm going to do another one over here. Okay, we're also going to need an edge loop in here to delineate this area. So it's kind of like just this curve here, and another one over here. And I think we need one more in the middle there, like that. Let's just have a look at this. In face selection, you can't really tell what we're going to do. So I'm just going to start selecting. I'm going to take that and go Control 2. I'm going to Control R and drag an edge loop to sort of round this out a bit more, but I'll do some other work on that. And I'm going to do another one here. And then I'm going to come in here, press 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to select this vertex. And I'm just going to pull it out a little bit, and then I'm going to select this one and this one, making sure I got the front ones. And I'm going to pull it, and then just sort of by eye, sort of round it a bit better, like that. Okay, remember it's a piece of metal, and they mass produce these things, so that it doesn't have to be perfectly perfect. Perfectly perfect. That was a bit redundant. Just do that, okay? Now I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to drop an edge loop here, just to come along here and straighten this up. I don't want it perfectly straight. I want a bit of a curve. Okay, good. Come in here, drop an edge loop, another one there. Now, I think I've made a mistake. I think I'm going to delete these two and have it a bit more like that. So I've got a bit more of an opening in there. Okay, and I'll take this edge here and just bring it forward a little bit more. And that's okay, I think, like that. So the next thing I want to do is give this some thickness, and then we'll touch it up. So I'm going to generate solidify. I may pull it up above, and I want this to go in like this. I'm going to turn off the subdivision for a second. Try to get a better sense, although subdivision will make things sort of compress, but something like that is probably okay. So I'm going to apply that, add the subdivision back on, and then come in here and Control R, drag an edge loop near the top, drag an edge loop near the bottom, and that should help. And that's not bad. And at this point, it becomes a little more difficult to, try to fix this up. So we'll just hope that it's going to look okay. All right. Well, we could probably work with that. So let's just keep going. So now there's this piece here and a spring. Let's come over here now and select a circle. Shift D to duplicate, pull it in and scale it till it's inside here. And let's get in a wireframe and set this up to here. I'm going to break this out. I Actually, I need to come back to here. So I got that piece there. I'm going to scale it a bit more. F to make a face. And I'm going to extrude this out to here. Let's see if I can bevel this with no problem. Looks okay. Shade smooth. So we have that. Let's make sure it's not flipped. So we got that piece, and I'll have this little pin attached to it. Now, as far as the spring goes, you can do an actual spring, and I will be later. I'm going to cheat. All right, I hate to tell you that, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to duplicate it, pull it out, scale it down a bit, P to break it out. I'm going to bring it back to here, and I'm going to E to extrude, and I'm just going to send it way back there. X faces. And I'm going to focus on that, and X faces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control R and roll up a whole bunch of times, something like that. I don't need too many. Control B to bevel, hold Shift and pull, roll back so you just have two edges for each of them going around. And I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to press 3 for face selection, and then Control I to invert my selection, and X faces. And I'll be left with this. It's not a spring, but you know, hopefully no one's going to examine that closely. E, Alt S, pull, bring it in to give it some thickness like that. Take it, Alt N, recalculate outside, slash key, and then take this thing and see if I made it long enough to sort of make contact there. I might end up scaling it in the X just a little bit to push it a little bit further back there. And yeah, and hopefully no one's going to look in there. You could take this piece, and I might Shift D to duplicate, pull it down to there somewhere, maybe scale it in the X, and just to block off that so it look, I don't know, it doesn't look as bad. You know, and that's the thing right there. Okay, so I could probably join those. Let's take this circle. Shift D, bring it up, look from the front, rotate 90. Now we're going to be off the diagram here. I'm going to scale it down and just G to just sort of move it, P to break it out. And what I want to do is I just want to make sure that this is going to fit in the hole. So I'm just going to scale it down a bit, and you know, just till I get it roughly the size that I think. And I can pull it down, and then I'm just going to make some kind of a design thing here. I'm going to press E to extrude, pull it up. I'm going to I to inset a little bit like that, maybe pull it up like this. E to extrude will come up, and I'll make some kind of a top. And this may not be the right length at this point. Just going to do that. We're going to see. Let's take that. Let's get rid of the bottom face. We're not going to need that. And let's bevel. And this is a lot of polys. I understand that. If you want to make it lower poly, you want to use 18 or so, feel free. Okay, just in this particular case, I wanted it nice and smooth, and I wasn't going to worry about it. So let's just grab all these edges and start beveling them. This one too, let's actually I to inset and extrude it down in just to do something else on it. You can do whatever you think is right. I didn't bevel that already, did I? I think I already did. Yeah, I did. All right, so I just want to bevel these top ones here. And then take this face and just I to inset just to fix that up. Okay. All right, so I flipped it, and now here's what I want to do. I actually want this in the middle. I shouldn't have moved it really. I want it in the middle. Doesn't matter that much. And what I'm going to do is I just want to make sure, I'm just going to focus on that. I just want to make sure that it's pretty much in the middle. So there's my X there. So actually there is probably in the middle. Okay. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to join it to that one. All right, good. So I want to rotate this into position, and the way I'll do that is I will select this face, Shift S, cursor selected, bring my 3D cursor, it's right in the middle, so I'll use that as my pivot by switching over to 3D cursor. And then I'm just going to look on where do I want to look? Is that good? No, I don't have to look anywhere. I'm going to rotate around the X, so I'm just going to go RX, and I'm going to just pull And it'll rotate the whole thing and just move that into position. And as you do that, you might say, you know what, this looks a little bit too big, this hole. And so, you know, that's something that can happen. We could try to take this and pull it in. And I think that actually was okay, except now I have to move this one a little bit. So you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. There's enough room for this to push back and get through that spot. So that's basically what we want. It just does look rather large. I am actually going to move it a little bit because it just looks too much. So, you know, like I said in the vlog, it's going to take a little bit of tweaking and finessing. Let's just go with that. All right, let's move on now. We've done that, and we've got to do this piece here, and this one goes underneath. So we could probably get rid of these faces, and let's have a look at what do we have on the other end. We can get rid of these ones too, because that stuff's hidden. Okay, so we'll get rid of them where we can. So let's just go ahead and take another circle from here. Borrow your circle, please. Okay, Shift D to duplicate, pull it down, P to break it out, and let's bring it back to here and scale it a little bit. All right, we're ready to go. Okay, E to extrude down to there. Okay, so got that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drop an edge loop here, drag it there, Control R to there, and then we'll do our best to select the faces that we need. I can't tell if that's what we need. Believe that's roughly what we need. If I take that one as well, that leaves me 1, 2, 3, and a tiny bit one. I think that's central. Good enough anyhow. So I'll take that and get rid of those. In fact, before I do, I'm going to press I to inset and do that and give it a little bit more support and then do that. Okay. Okay, now I can use solidify, or I can just go E and Alt S and pull it in like that. Okay, Alt N, recalculate outside, shade smooth. Let's come over here and bevel. I want 3 in there. And we definitely want to bevel this. And we probably need to bevel this. Let's finish this off by coming in here, taking one of these circles, Shift D. There may be some stuff I can get rid of. We'll see. P to break it out. Let's grab that, scale it just a bit, push it in. E to extrude out to here. I'm going to wireframe. E and S. E to there. And then E and S and just come down a ways. Let's take that and flip it. All right, let's do some beveling. This edge, not that one. With 3, shade smooth. Don't mind my kids in the background. All right, so we need to do that piece there. So we're going to come in here and grab another circle, Shift D, pull it out, go into wireframe and scale it down. And it's a little hard to tell what's going on with this piece. So I'm just going to make it a reasonable size. I don't know how big to make it, so I'm just going to bring that back and then E to extrude, pull it out to there. I may go back a little ways. Now, I'm not sure if I separated from this, so I'm going to separate by selection, just in case I didn't. Yeah, okay. So we got that. And I'm going to just focus on that for a second. Shade smooth. Recalculate outside there. That's better. Okay. I think I do need to have this a little bit longer, scale on the X, and maybe scale Shift X just in there a little bit. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'll leave it that size. Okay, let's try this. Let's see. So once again, an edge loop, another edge loop, and I could probably just Control B, but roll back to 0. Edge loop there. I'm going to select, I think, all of those, and press I to inset, pull it in, X faces, Control 2, and then we'll use edge loops to sort of straighten this out the way we want it to be. Put one there and Control B. And something like that. Maybe do I want one here? We'll go with that kind of a look. Okay. All right, so down the middle, I think there's another piece. So let's just do that and see. So let's select that and Shift D to duplicate, scale it down. And I'm just not sure how big. So I'm going to break this out and take that, push it in here, and we'll come all the way down into somewhere into here. We'll get rid of that face, and we'll get rid of the other face, and we'll just see if it looks like the right size. I feel like it should be bigger. I'm going to scale Shift X, make it a bit bigger. We sort of see it through there. Let's have a look at this now. Okay, we're seeing the inside of this, and so I actually need to give some thickness to this. So let's just focus on that, and I can do it with I think I'll just go E and Alt S and pull. Give it thickness like that instead of using solidify and not that. And drop a couple of edge loops. And again, not there. There. Out. And in. Hopefully that's not too thick. You can decide. And now it looks like it's flipped. So. Okay. So. Yeah. Hopefully that's okay. So I'm going to actually bevel that edge. That's going to help with the shading just a little bit. So this is what we have. Don't forget to save periodically. So no great mystery going on. Let's to make things easy for ourselves, let's take this, Shift D to duplicate, pull it down, and we'll press S to scale it, push it in here, and see if we can use that again there. I think we can. I think that's going to be all right. I mean, it may not be the exact right structure, but it still looks like a gun. Now, to make this, here's the way I want to do this. I'm going to select something here, Shift S, cursor selected, and I'm going to bring in a plane, rotate X 90, scale it down, drag it in, and look at it. And I kind of want it to be the diameter of this tube, roughly. And now I'm going to subdivide it. I'm just going to subdivide like that. There's 1, 2, 3. And I think I can get away with 3. I'm going to select these 4 and press I to inset, pull it in a little bit, and X faces. Select this edge, and I'm going to right click and choose Loop Tool Circle, and then S to scale so that it fits in the square. And I'm kind of looking at this circle underneath too. I want it roughly the same size. I'm going to press E and S one more time just to bring it in, give it a bit more support. So this is what I have. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to pull it out, And I want to make sure that my snapping here with the horseshoe is set to edge. Then I'm going to pull this over, hold Control until it snaps. Shift D, do one more, pull it over, hold Control till it snaps. They are roughly lined up. It's not going to be perfect, but okay, now take that, Shift D to duplicate, pull it up, pull it down and hold Control as you hover over this edge and snap. Do that 2 more times. Up, snap, Shift D, up, and snap. Now select it all by pressing A, press M, merge by distance, and you will have got rid of a whole bunch. So we now have this. Take this and add a deform, simple deform, choose bend in the X and 360 degrees. And we'll have this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply that, come in and merge by distance again so that it's all merged. Now we'll look at that. Okay, it's shifted its position and it may be scaled wrong. So the 3D cursor is still there. So with this selected, choose Set Origin to the 3D cursor and then Set Geometry to Origin. At least it's centered now, and then we can take this and we can pull it out and sort of look at it and sort of line up the holes and then say, okay, I'm going to have to do some work on this. I'm going to take this and scale Shift X, and that may warp the holes a little bit, but you know, it's not the end of the world. Let's just see if we're getting this, scale Shift X, but I'm also going to scale it in the X, and that's going to actually help. So I'm going to do that, scale in the X until you get it kind of fitting and looks not bad. Okay, I can shade smooth, but we're also going to add a Control 1 or 2. That's just Control 1. That's one subdivision. You can decide if you want to. Now, I feel like those are kind of stretched, and so I'm actually going to scale it in the X a little bit to make the holes a little nicer. And then I may take this here, and I may either just pull it out if it doesn't warp it, or extrude it out. It looks like it's okay that way. So we can use Solidify, or I think I may just go E and Alt-S and pull until I get it sort of a thickness that I like. Not too thick, but now I need to flip it, Alt-N, recalculate outside, and we've got our thingamajig. Okay, I'm going to bevel the edges here, Shift-Alt and click those, Control-B, bevel, and I've got, I want to use 3, that'll flatten that out a bit, and slash key to focus on this. These ones are embedded, we don't need them. Shift-Alt and click those faces and get rid of them. Slash key, and we have this. All right, cool, we're getting there. Let's do this piece here. Let's take a circle that's a little bit closer. Take any of these, Shift Alt and click and duplicate those, scale, and I may break that out, and I might decide I want to lengthen this out a little bit. I think I will. I'm just going to border select there and just pull this out. All right, whether you do or no, it's up to you. Take this, push it under, E to extrude, pull out to here. If you think it's going to show, you can make this, it may not be thick enough, really. So that makes it more difficult. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scale Shift X and just make this a little wider so that it fits. You can try to make this the right thickness. Okay, so I'm going to do that. It's flipped, and I'm going to just E and Alt S again, and to make the barrel of the gun there like that. I don't know if that's the right diameter, but that's what I'm going to do. Bevel there, slash key. Let's get rid of the backs. You don't need it. Get rid of those faces. Slash key. And let's just double check that that's not flipped. Yeah, it was. All right. Okay. We are close to what I wanted to accomplish in this video. What I'm going to do right now is, just for fun, I'm going to switch over here to Object and Viewer Display and darken this up so it's kind of like that. And I'm going to come in here and copy that. And then I'm going to come to these ones, click there, and Control V over there. And that didn't work, so let's just do it here. And I'm just going to do this here and Control V over all these pieces. And, just make it look kind of dark, like a gun. Everything basically. And there may still be some tweaking that we have to do on this, things that I don't particularly like. It's trial and error. Sometimes you got to repeat these things, and the more you do it, the faster you get and the better you get, and you don't make some dumb mistakes like I've done. But hopefully it's going to end up looking just fine. Okay, here, let's go do that so we can see just what we've got. Now you'll notice I've got this white outline sort of. What I've done here is on the outline, usually it's dark, it's black. I just for this, metal sometimes has that look. So this is what I've got. It just makes it a little bit easier to see when you've got this dark color. So hopefully you're liking it so far. And I got the shadow on as well. And then you can choose, if you want a different matte cap, that'll give it a different look. But I like this kind of, let's try this one. This kind of almost gunmetal kind of look. Well, gunmetal, how about that? All right, so this is what we've got in part 1. We'll come back in the next video. We'll look at this, see if there's anything we need to change, and we'll go on and do, hopefully, the rest of the gun. Okay, so don't forget the reference image is available for you if you want to model along with me, and I hope it goes well for you. Take care.